Hi folks, welcome to another episode of Inside Knowledge. In our first episode, we have discussed about the documentation part of studying MBBS program in Ukraine. In this episode, we are going to discuss about the tuition fees and the living expenses that you have to bear while studying your proposed MBBS course in Ukraine. So whenever students apply for an MBBS program in Ukraine, the first and the foremost thing that they get confused is tuition fees. Because when they browse various websites, they find different tuition fees is being provided for the same university. So this is absolutely a confusion state of mind for the student. To avoid this, the basic, simple, fundamental thumb rule for understanding your tuition fees in Ukraine is the first year tuition fees in Ukraine is always on a higher side because it comes with a package. So tentatively, if you consider to study in Ukraine, your first year tuition fees will be in the range of 5.5 lakhs Indian currency to a maximum of 7.5 lakhs Indian currency. And the consecutive year, the tuition fees will be in a range of 3.5 lakhs a year to a maximum range of 4.5 lakhs a year. Now, if you add the entire tuition fees for the total duration of your study, it will be not more than 25 lakhs, and minimum it can come to a range of 22 lakhs depending on the university to university. Now, apart from tuition fees, there will be other costs that you have to incur. And the next cost that you have to incur on year-to-year basis is your insurance fees, which will be 200 US dollar, approximately Indian currency 15,000 rupees a year. So this is something that you also have to keep in mind. You have to budget this. Insurance is very important because when you stay abroad and if you don't have health insurance coverage, it is very difficult because if you fall sick, then the expenses is very high over there. The treatment expenses is very high. So it is always advisable to the students that you should have a good insurance coverage while traveling from India, and then when you land up over there, there should be a insurance coverage that has to be bought in that particular country itself to protect your any kind of uncertainty that can happen during the period of your education. Now, after your insurance, the next big investment that you have to budget for your entire stay in Ukraine is your accommodation. Now, accommodation or hostel, whatever you say, some of the universities have their own hostel facilities, but majority universities don't have their hostel facilities. So your consultant or your coordinator who is actually coordinating the entire process of your application to Ukraine will look after to that. And your hostel or accommodation expenses for a year will be in a range of 35,000 a year to a maximum of 90,000 a year. Now, why 35 and 90,000? Why there is a gap? Because it depends on your standard of living. If you want to stay in an accommodation where you want single accommodation, you want AC facilities, right? So your cost will go up. But if you go for a sharing accommodation, your cost will definitely will be in a range of 35,000 a year. That's a tentative budget. So your total accommodation cost for the entire duration of your study will be in a range of 2,20,000 to a maximum of 5.5 lakhs. That will be your budget. It depends, as I mentioned it to you earlier, that accommodation depends on your standard of living and what type of accommodation you are looking forward. Like some students ask for single accommodation, some students ask for double sharing, some students goes for triple sharing. So it depends on your standard of living and your spending capabilities. Now, after accommodation, the most important part, the students always asked us, is the food. What will be the food cost? Now, to be very frank with you, the food cost also depends on your standard of living, right? But tentatively, your food bills for the month will be within the range of 100 US dollar to maximum of 150 US dollar. That will be the range, right? So if you consider if you are a vegetarian or you are a non-vegetarian, right? You cannot choose your food while in abroad, right? If you are staying in a hostel, you have to go as per their food schedule. This is something the student has to understand when you are going for an overseas education. And the other option is you can always have the liberty of preparing your own dishes, right? But when you are going for an MBBS program, you get less amount of time to deploy yourself into the area of preparing food. So we always advise you that you go for a food meal plan. Now, when you go for a food meal plan, your food meal budget should be within a range of 100 US dollar, or you can say 7,500 Indian currency a month, to a maximum of 12,000 rupees a month. That will be the maximum amount of money that you can spend on your food bills. So your total food budget for the entire duration should be within a range of 6.5 lakhs to a maximum of 8 lakhs. It depends on your standard of living and your food intake habits. Apart from your tuition fees, your insurance cost, your accommodation cost, your food cost, there will be another cost that also you have to keep in mind, which is a miscellaneous cost. Miscellaneous cost will include your telephone bill, your internet bill, your transportation cost, to some extent your entertainment cost. Now it also depends on your standard of living, that how much money you are going to budget for your miscellaneous expenses. But we recommend you that you should budget not less than 75,000 a year and not more than 1 lakh a year. So that should be your tentative budget for your miscellaneous expenses. That has to be kept in mind while budgeting your total expenses for study MBBS program in Ukraine. So with this, we come to the last part of this particular episode. We have already covered the entire cost part by part, and if we add up the total cost that you are going to incur to complete an MBBS program in Ukraine, it will be somewhere around 35 lakhs. And friends, there are websites where you can find that people have advertised that to study an MBBS program in Ukraine, you will be incurring 25 lakhs. Don't go by their words, because that is not the actual figure. You have to keep in mind all the expenses that you're going to incur, so that you don't get into a complicated situation after landing up yourself in Ukraine. Moreover, please keep in mind that during the tenure of your education, you won't be able to do part-time jobs. But yes, there will be an opportunity for you to do an internship where you will be getting some kind of stipend. So in my next episode, I'm going to discuss with you some of the universities which we recommend you for studying in Ukraine, and what are the process that you can get in touch with us if you are really looking forward to complete your MBBS program from Ukraine, and you want us to guide you step by step so that the entire process becomes headache free. So friends, please subscribe my channel. Please share it with your family members, your friends, your peers, so that each and every person get to know all the inside knowledge which is required to do an MBBS program in Ukraine. Thank you very much. God bless you.